Welcome to Good Game, I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo.
This week on the show, we suit up and saddle in for some mech-on-mech action in Titanfall.
And a newly voiced Snake slithers interview with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero.
Chico, it's me.
No! No! Go away! Go away!
And Rambo is back in Rambo the video game, and we try to work out why.
Sooner or later, you'll find yourself the one being hunted. You don't come back from that.
But before all that, can you name the game?
Legendary developer Hideo Kojima will be bringing us the full Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain sometime in the future. But for now, we have this smaller standalone prologue called Ground Zeroes.
'70s mullet Snake is back, and he's got a new voice.
I got Chico.
Yes, in an announcement last year that shocked the Metal Gear fanbase and the voice actor himself apparently, David Hayter is out and Kiefer Sutherland is in. Kiefer Snake only has a handful of lines in this prologue, so it's hard to tell what he's going to bring to the character just yet, but you know, he's suitably snaky.
Yeah, I'm sure Kiefer will do a great job. And you know, I'm not personally a huge fan of the Metal Gear Solid storytelling, but still there was something brilliant about David Hayter's performance in those previous games, especially in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Liquid is after Big Boss's body. Is it here?
He just gelled so well with this strange, surreal, almost performance art world that this franchise sits in.
War transforms us.
But while those long, overwritten cutscenes of previous games had their charm, those days are gone, and maybe it is for the best. Zeroes, and apparently the full game as well, will have less cutscenes in general. What I personally love about the Metal Gear franchise is the presentation and those thoughtful cinematics. There's always a distinct style to it. Each shot and frame has been crafted a certain way on purpose.
Go away! Let me out of here, please! Get off me!
And even though there are only a few cutscenes in Zeroes, that wonderful style is still on show.
Pirate crackdown's a go! Move!
All in all, there isn't actually much story being told in Ground Zeroes. In fact, depending on your perspective, there isn't that much game either.
Yes, I'm really struggling to see what Zeroes actually is. It's in shops as a full retail release, but I struggle to see this as anything more than a glorified extended tech demo for their new Fox engine. It's all set in just one map, a prison camp. You load up the game, play through the story mission, which I clocked at about 1.5 hours, and then the credits roll.
Do you too believe your sacrifice will change the world?
It is a fun mission. You rescue a couple of targets and frantically get them to safety, which is thrilling, and you learn a little bit more about the story. After that, you can go back in for side missions with various objectives, such as destroying AA turrets,
Destruction confirmed.
an on-rails helicopter mission, and a sneaking mission where you need to eliminate 2 targets by identifying their faces. But really, that's it.
Yeah, those side missions felt more like optional objectives rather than full-on missions in their own right. But you are still in that one map, either at night or during the day, going past the same locations. I feel like they've tried to make Zeroes replayable, as a feature by having a harder difficulty and those side ops, but really there should just be more content, actual missions that justify releasing this separately to the Phantom Pain.
Yeah, I agree. And after about the 4th or 5th time going back into this base for another mission, I actually started feeling sorry for the employees of the prison. Snake just keeps going back in again and again, killing everyone over and over.
Debate!
They must get so sick of him messing with their stuff. Just quit!
There are some solid mechanics though. I liked how if you're spotted, time slows down. This allows you to try and get a quick shot on an enemy before he sounds the alarm, although some of the controls are a little fiddly, such as rolling or changing weapons.
I didn't find the swapping weapons that bad, but I did accidentally put on my night vision in the middle of a fight more than once.
Targets are getting away.
I do like that you're encouraged to interrogate guards,
Speak.
and listen in on conversations,
Those new guys. You see their choppers?
and mark targets to keep them on your radar. All that stuff works really well, and the Metal Gear series has always been good at offering engaging stealth gameplay.
If you do get busted, you can certainly run and gun effectively in Zeroes. I mean, the gunplay itself is really tight.
Yeah, this is the first Metal Gear that has really made its shooting mechanics feel intuitive. It's interesting they're letting gamers stretch out from purely stealthing all the time.
I think it's also the switch to a more open world feel. You have so many more options as to how you want to progress now. Gone are the days of lying under a truck for ages waiting for an alert to die down. Zeroes really encourages you to try all sorts of different solutions.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. I did expect more from the AI though. What are you guys doing? I'm not in the wall.
Clear.
Enemies do have a hive mind, which makes sense because they're all on radios, and I like the way they all just keep coming in the different levels of threat, but I didn't really feel like they were super intelligent and trying to outsmart me.
Xbone and PS4 versions of Zeroes each have their own exclusive missions on the same map. Xbone lets you play as Raiden from Revengeance, who's after cyborgs. The PS4 mission Deja Vu asks you to recreate scenes from the original Metal Gear Solid.
A box and lights.
I mean, really? How is that fun for anyone?
Yeah, that's where I checked out. How infuriating. Wandering around this map again trying to recreate images from the first game will only appeal to the most die-hard of fans who are also really bored. And that's it, Ground Zero's done and dusted. And all of this costs $50. And I can't imagine anyone, even the most hardcore of fans, spending that much for this game and feeling completely satisfied at the end of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's horribly overpriced for what it is. I mean, if we were to look at the DLC, for example, that we reviewed a few weeks ago from games like The Last of Us and Assassin's Creed, they were only a few hours of gameplay as well, but there was just so much value in them because it took us on a fleshed out journey with these characters, as well as having some frantic action set pieces. Zeroes feels like one mission surgically removed from a bigger game. It's a tough one to score, isn't it? I mean, my gut reaction is a 5 or a 6. The small amount of gameplay you get here is good, but I can't help but think about all the other games you could play for the same price.
Yeah, that's really my main problem with it, is just that price tag. I think you could jump into this game again and again and sneak perfect runs, hurling bodies around. But I'm not really into that sort of completionism, at least not with the Metal Gear series, so I found it really hard to see the value in this game, and I think even at half the price for me personally, it would be a hard sell. So I'm giving it 5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I'm giving it 5.5. Now across to the news desk with Goose.
Thanks, guys. The highly anticipated third game in the Witcher series has been delayed until February 2015. In a statement, developer CD Projekt said that while it could have released the game this year, it wouldn't have achieved the desired level of quality, with much optimization of their new Red Engine 3 yet to be completed. Sony has confirmed they're developing a virtual reality headset for the PlayStation 4, codenamed Project Morpheus. A prototype of the device was shown for the first time at the recent Game Developers Conference. Exact details are scarce, however, it will require the PlayStation camera to function. Developers will soon begin creating new games for the headset, but no consumer release date has been confirmed. Microsoft has announced that Chief Product Officer of Xbox, Mark Whitten, has resigned from the company. Whitten worked on the Xbox hardware team for over 14 years and helped oversee the launch of all 3 Xbox consoles. He will now take on the role of Chief Product Officer at the audio electronics company Sonos. In another departure, Castlevania developer Koji Igarashi has left Konami with the intention of starting his own studio. Igarashi is best known for his work on the PlayStation classic Symphony of the Night.
Thanks, Goose. Well, it's been a long time since we stepped into Rambo's jungle boots, but now he's back with a new game. Shall we take a look at the trailer, Hex?
Yeah. looks like it could be quite all right. Let's take a look at the game.
Yeah. Rambo the video game is a game that's very out of place in 2014. It's an on-rails light gun shooter with the added non-feature that you can't actually use a light gun at all. You just simply move the cursor around and click to shoot, and occasionally duck behind some cover. The first trailer we saw of this game is completely dishonest. In fact, at certain points in gameplay, it hides the reticule to make this look like something that it's not.
What this is the sort of cheesy arcade game you might play once in a while waiting for your friends to turn up to a movie, but with a light gun, of course. It's filled with tedious quick-time events that are not at all fun and brutally violent, especially if you're not very good at them. The game has you playing out the first 3 Rambo films, taking out every enemy that you see. The story is strung together by a handful of cutscenes and all told through narration at Rambo's funeral.
But when he came home, the world didn't agree. To them, he was part of a war they didn't want, and so they didn't want him.
I know that Rambo is the strong silent type, but I felt like every time he did have something to say, it came out muffled.
You love doing something here? Me. I'm stopping.
But really, there's a lot more that's wrong with this game. For example, there's a perk tree that you slowly unlock, and you can reset your points at any time with no cost to you. But it's a little impossible to get through some of the harder sections without the grenades perk, even on easy. So, I just put all my points into that.
Yeah, me too. The cool mechanic of this game is the active reload and timing that just right. Mess it up and your gun will jam, and you might not have enough bullets to get through the next wave of enemies. You also need to make perfect use of your health regenerating Rambo rage in the later levels, or you will just die over and over again. This is such a big, dumb game, isn't it? It's just mindless. It's not even fun in that over-the-top 80s action film kind of way. I think I prefer the Commodore 64 version.
I think Pixel Rambo has more personality. Much like an old money-hungry arcade game, this can be terribly punishing at times too. It just throws bottlenecks at you constantly, like it's trying to milk you of all your coins in short, frustrating bursts.
It's over.
Yes, but the fact is it's already milked your coins on purchase, because the cheapest I could find this game on PC was $40, which despite some lovely textures is just insane for what this game is. But then if you walk into a game shop to pick it up on console, $70.
Well, at least it makes Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes feel like a more appealing purchase. What are you giving it, Bajo?
I'm going to give it 2 out of 10, Hex.
Oh, I think you're being a bit harsh. I'm gonna give it 2.5.
Tell them that no such criminal aggression should be attempted again.
My first job in the games industry was actually as a game designer at Team Ninja, Tecmo, in Tokyo, and I worked on the first Ninja Gaiden for Xbox.
The dragon sword is gripped firmly in the hands of young ninja Ryu Hayabusa.
Being a junior designer, it was all about learning the ropes, and at the time, we didn't have quite as many various visual tool sets as we do now. Nowadays, if you want to say place an enemy at a level, you can do so in a graphical interface, and it's quite easy. But back then, everything had to be coded by hand, so you had to go in and figure out exactly the X and Y axes of where you wanted the enemy to go, and then you had to kind of put that in the code and figure out the camera angles and everything. So it was quite a trial by fire, and I remember having many late nights trying to get sort of these perfect spawn points set up, and at the time, it was quite difficult, but looking back now, it's a fond memory, and it definitely gave me a good understanding of the inner workings of games, which helps a lot with what I'm doing right now.
It may not sound super hardcore, but when I was 9 years old, the Lion King movie tie-in game on the Sega Mega Drive was awesome. Released in 1994, this platformer saw young Simba embark on his journey through the Pride Lands, collecting bugs and fending off nasty hyenas through a series of levels inspired by the classic Disney film.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
What 16-bit systems brought to video game visuals is highlighted beautifully in this game. Those scrolling parallax backgrounds with layers of depth and colour, and such graceful character sprites, in this case drawn by the actual animators at Disney. Some levels saw you leaping across the heads of giraffes, others running from boulders. There was even a stampede level. But don't be fooled by its Disney cuteness. This game was really tough. There are a few standout levels that haunt me even now. In particular, one called Hakuna Matata with its unforgiving waterfall platforming sections. And what's worse is the game had no cartridge save function. Similar to other games of the era, you had a few lives that allowed you to respawn from halfway points in each level if you found them. But if you lost all your lives, you didn't go back to the beginning of the level. You had to go all the way back to the start of the game. I remember it had my next door neighbour and I wailing cries of frustration as every day after school we'd be caught in this unending cycle of failure. But we finally got to play through the story to its triumphant conclusion, the mighty battle with Scar on Pride Rock. And the music, adapted beautifully from the movie soundtrack, that song was the perfect end to a landmark fight, and an incredible game.
Such a lovely game. I still have nightmares about that stampede level though.
Yeah, you pretty much had to memorize those rock formations perfectly.
Super hard. Well, now it's time to Titanfall.
Pilots, defend the hard points at all costs. Strap in.
I've had anyone and everyone who gets in your way.
Titan ready in 15 seconds.
We're losing Charlie.
Okay, your Titan's prepped for launch. Call it when ready.
Hey, you're approaching Charlie. Watch for hostiles.
Titanfall, in a nutshell, is a multiplayer-focused first-person shooter, but it does a few things differently. Instantly, you notice the incredible agile movement system, made up of double jumps, wall running, and mantling. Maps are also filled with AI grunts that run about, making battles feel more alive. Also, giant frickin' robots fall down from the sky.
Spyglass, open and shut.
Yes, sir.
This is Respawn Entertainment's first game, and that's a big deal considering they're the studio formed by the founders and many members of Infinity Ward, creators of Call of Duty.
Yeah, and you can really feel that Call of Duty DNA woven into this game. There is a multiplayer campaign, so there is a story, but it's more of a loose premise than an epic saga. The gist of it is humanity has expanded out and colonized loads of planets. And now there's a growing uprising against the original colonizing forces.
Decades-long tensions exploded into all-out war on the frontier today.
The campaign is essentially a playlist of 9 maps that let you play through a slice of this conflict.
Sir, we haven't found any militia. Just a handful of civilians.
Copy that. Keep looking.
But I like the way these specters kill,
And once you finish playing one side, you get to experience the other.
Pilots, let's find out what the hell happened here.
There's no epic cutscenes or anything like that, but in lobbies you'll hear some chatter about the upcoming mission.
We have confirmed that the traitor McAllen has joined forces with the militia's First Fleet.
Then there'll be a brief cinematic moment as the game starts, plus a little bit more dialogue and set-piece moments throughout the match.
Sir, that ship. It had no life sign, no shield. Of course, it's a decoy.
Bajo, I tried to follow what was going on, but I find it really hard to focus on all that chatter when I'm, trying to set up loadouts or actually running around inside a match.
Yeah, it is a bit hard to follow, isn't it? But I think that's kind of intentional.
Jump calculations haven't finished yet. We might not give a damn. Just do it. Jump now.
There's a bigger war going on around you, and you're just one soldier amongst it all. And playing through each side only takes a couple of hours, so if you really wanted to, you could play through it again and pick up bits of the story that you missed. Plus, there are lots of cool scripted moments scattered throughout matches that are easy to miss if you're not looking, so it's worth a few run-throughs.
I just wish there were maybe a few more cutscenes explaining who these characters are and what's happening. Especially because I love the design of this game, that gritty sci-fi look with environments that feel lived in and believable. Not to mention those Titans are just incredible.
All units, I need you to retake Charlie immediately.
Last year we were saying games like Battlefield don't even really need a single-player campaign anymore. They can just focus on multiplayer and do what they do best. I like the compromise they've gone for with Titanfall. By focusing on just a multiplayer experience with these little story elements to spice it up, there's no single-player slog to simply get through for the sake of it. I would have liked a bit more consequence to either winning or losing matches. It just didn't seem to affect anything.
We didn't win this one, but we did a lot of damage.
Although I did like the epilogues at the end of each match.
All ground forces, head for the evac point.
If you lose, you have to try and get to an evac ship. And if you win, you have to try and stop them. And it's so exciting when you make it to that dropship just in time.
How the hell did you know McKenna would come here for the town?
Eject.
Dropship has arrived. Commencing evacuation procedures.
I am wondering though whether there's quite enough here to satisfy a big multiplayer appetite. To be honest, I was expecting more modes, but I also haven't tired of what's here yet.
This is last Titan standing. Take out the enemy team. You've only got one shot at it.
And you know, I'm not usually a fan of capture the flag, but here it's my favorite mode. Going after a pilot who's carrying a flag when you're on a Titan almost feels unfair, but it's not. And likewise, it's terrifying when you're the one being pursued.
I've got it! I've got it! Help me! Help me!
Coming!
I'm so afraid!
There's a Titan coming! Run away!
Oh, he stepped on me. Stepped on me.
The fundamentals are all just tightly balanced and refined. I mean, even just moving around is pure fun. There's an instant hit of adrenaline when you start wall running and double jumping around the maps.
Nice move. Now finish the job.
Yeah, I can't think of another game that does this kind of wall running, double jumping so well. In fact, I think in the future we'll start calling it Titanfalling around the map. The gunplay has that familiar and satisfying Call of Duty feel. Weapons are precise, with little recoil, and everything runs at such a frantic pace, you never seem to stay still for more than a second.
AI offline. Pilot mode engaged.
It almost feels like an old school Twitch shooter at times. It's definitely one of the faster paced FPSs out there. I think there was a bit of concern that the player count is only 6 versus 6, but I think that's actually a good number to promote those little moments on the fly of team-based strategy.
Goose, turn around, come help. Come help.
Where's your... Oh, wait, hang on. You got a Titan behind you.
Help. Oh, they're everywhere.
I am helping. Hang on. Yeah, got it.
Once everyone starts getting in Titans, things can get crowded, and I'd often find Titans getting in my way. I think if there were any more players on the field, it would require different map design, and it would throw that balance off between pilot and Titan.
The way they've achieved that balance is pretty amazing, isn't it? Titans are, of course, huge and powerful, but they're also easy targets and draw fire from every angle. While pilots are fast and agile, but will get squished if they take on a Titan head-on. Take advantage of rooftops and buildings, however, or sneak up behind one, and you can be a real thorn in any Titan's side. Now let's talk about those AI grunts. Personally, I like them. I think they make the battle feel more alive and they give the impression of a larger war. Although I will admit that at first I just thought I was really badass and kept taking out the same player over and over. I was like, who's this noob called Spectre? I just keep owning him.
To your 3 p.m. Hex! 3 p.m. Hex!
Oh, this is awesome!
You feel so OP.
Alright, help.
Yeah, I did that too.
But, you know, my reflexes don't quite stack up against a lot of the more competitive players out there, so even if they are easy kills, at least they give you a bit of a sense of accomplishment, like you're helping the greater cause.
What I like most about those AI grunts is that they help hide the human players in the crowd so you can be a bit sneaky. You can also set Titans to either follow you around or guard a spot, and they're formidable with solid AI. If you come across one on autopilot, don't expect them to be a pushover. It'll fight almost as well or even better than some human-piloted ones. It's so hard to resist the urge to jump in your Titan the moment it lands, but if you let them do their thing, you can rack up some kills pretty quickly.
Auto Titan engaging hostile pilot.
I think the Titanfall mechanic in and of itself is just fantastic. When a match starts, your Titan gets a timer counting down to when it can be deployed.
Pilot, your Titan will be ready in 2 minutes.
So every player is going to get one. You don't have to score a 20-kill streak or camp out by vehicle spawns to get to play with the game's coolest toys. You're guaranteed them.
Under attack.
And if you time it right, you can crush an enemy Titan with your Titanfall.
That should cool them off.
What did you think of that burn card mechanic?
I think they're a good spin on that perk system. You earn these by completing various in-game actions and then set up 3 of them into a deck to play during a match. They're single use, so if you burn one on a more powerful weapon, then die, it's gone. They offer a huge range of perks and bonuses to choose from, some far more powerful than others. They just add a bit of variety, and it means you've always literally got a card up your sleeve. Final thoughts, Hex?
Well, I definitely think they've play tested and refined the maps and mechanics to near perfection. I mean, this is the most fun I've had in a multiplayer game in a long time.
Get him, get him, get him! Woo! Yeah!
I do wish a little bit more thought had been put into that campaign, but I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
I don't think Titanfall is quite revolutionary, but it's dripping with polish. It's also accessible, but deep enough for pros, so I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I'm watching Cusco. Go, Cusco!
Yeah! What can you do about it, huh? I'm in a ship.
Well, we're just about out of time, but you know what, Hex? We don't often talk about the pricing of games so specifically as we did this week. And of course, we always consider it because pricing can affect a score.
Yeah, but this definitely felt like a week of games that was after our wallets, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't just Rambo and Metal Gear Solid either. Titanfall is undeniably a fantastic game, but it's still a multiplayer-only shooter that ranges from $80 to $100 on last gen and current gen.
Yeah, I think we've started riding that next-gen premium pricing wave where not a lot of games are being released for the newer consoles, so that first batch just has that little bit of inflation.
Yes, and sadly I think that'll hang around for a little while. But did you name the game for this week? It was the PC game Weekend Party Fashion Show from 2009. You played as Lily, a creative director for an ad agency who must shop for the perfect outfit for all the different parties and events she's invited to. Story of my life, Hex. There were also some mini-games that focused on jewelry, makeup, and hairstyles.
Shopping!
And that's our name the game for this week because it was developed by Taeon, the same team behind Rambo. And you can really feel the DNA of Weekend Party Fashion Show within Rambo,
Yes,
I think.
the quality and the detail.
Yeah, it's evolution.
Next week on the show, if you ever wondered what a hipster hero would look like, look no further than infamous Second Son.
Looks like the Duke Troops becoming honorary members of the Haters Club.
Plus, we check out Blizzard's free-to-play Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft.
Victory or death!
On Spawn Point, our show for younger gamers on ABC3 this weekend, Mojo Jojo is up to no good again in the new Powerpuff Girls game, Defenders of Townsville.
You get a punch! You get a punch! You get a punch!
So until next week, Bajo out.
Hex out.
Look at these pretty flowers. I like it when they can work flowers into a shooter map.
The game starts, Hex, like, ooh, and she's literally stopping to smell the flowers.
Taking a look around.